One of my favorites to watch, one of my favorites to cover, just an absolute legend. If there was an independent MMA Hall of Fame, he would be first ballot and then some. And so it was filled with a lot of emotion when I found out that Carlos Condit was going to call it a career. One of my mom's favorite fighters. And so I wanted to have him on the show to talk about that decision, his great career, and where he goes from here. So without further ado, let us go to the natural-born killer himself, the one and only Carlos Condit. Carlos, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Ariel. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Congratulations. Like I said to you privately, absolute honor to watch you and to cover you. And I don't know how in tune you are with social media. You got a lot of love over the last few days, so I think you know how people feel about you. I just want to know, first off, like, what does the last few days feel like? How has it been seeing all these people shower you with praise and gratitude?
It's been overwhelming. It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff's been going on. Like, I mean, this happened, this dropped. I've had some crazy shit going on in my personal life. It's been intense.
Why did you make this decision now?
It was time, man. It was time. For a lot of different reasons. After that last fight, I felt like I'd put together a good camp, and I was just a step behind Max, and I feel like I could really try to tweak things, and I could try to figure out what's missing, what's what part of the formula isn't working right now, and then go and test it again and test it again. But and it's that's a tough thing to do, right? That's a tough thing to do, because ultimately I have to go and put myself on the firing line to see if what I'm doing is working. And at a certain point, there's diminishing returns. So I think it's time to move on.
When you walked out of the cage in July, did you know that you were done?
I think pretty soon after.
Okay.
Pretty soon after. Yeah.
Like, what is that moment like? Because I'm assuming this came out late September of 2021. So like a few days ago, you didn't make the announcement. It was actually first reported by us at MMA Fighting. Damon Martin and Guilherme Cruz spoke to Malky. When did you actually make the decision that you were done? How many weeks or days after that Max Griffin fight in July?
Probably just while I was packing up my stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I've been leaving. I think I've said this before. I've been leaving a hotel room after a loss and been pissed off, and leaving all my gear and in a real salty mood, and basically I'm done with this shit. But this time was different. I wasn't salty about it. I just felt like it was the right move. And actually, probably about 3 weeks or a month ago, I called Dana and let him know, or I texted him and he called me. So this thing has been, it's been coming down the pipe for a little while.
And what was that conversation like?
It was great. I think me and Dana have a pretty good relationship, and he said thank you. I thanked him for all the opportunities, and that was that.
And just to take a step back, you were saying, like, when you lose, you would actually leave your gear in the hotel room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of fights where I'm like, yeah. I was on that losing streak for a while, and I'd be pretty dejected, and yeah, I'd leave my shit. Like, I don't need this anymore.
Wow. Do you regret that in retrospect? Like, do you wish you had all your stuff, or do you not care?
No, I totally do. And then like 3 weeks later, I'd like need my training gear back. I'm like, shit, I left it all in Vegas.
Oh man. And what's interesting about this is you were on a bit of a roll here recently. Like, it seemed like you were turning back the clock. The old Carlos was back. People were hyped, talking about some big fights. Mm-hmm. And so it's usually this comes after, like, a 3-4 fight losing streak. You weren't on that losing streak. And so were you thinking maybe because I know your contract came up as well, but were you thinking, you know what, maybe I found something. Maybe I am going to stick around for a new deal and 4 or 5 more fights?
Yeah, I'm an optimist, man. Like, I do get in those spots where I get down about things. but as soon as there's any kind of sunlight peeking through the clouds, I grasp onto that. And I definitely felt some momentum, but also I think it's more so just the time, and a big piece of this is like the amount of time and energy that I am still willing to put into fighting at the highest levels. I think that is in some ways I'm compromising things in my life, in my personal life. So to train as a professional mixed martial artist at the highest level of the sport, that takes a lot. That takes a lot out of me, energetically, emotionally, just everything. And so I have less to give to the rest of my life. And at this point, I don't want to make that compromise anymore.
Usually when someone retires, there's like a big Instagram post or a video or something like that. Last I checked, you have not done anything. You have not acknowledged this at all. Why is that?
Part of it, well, initially, like I'd made the decision pretty quick, and part of it was, my last opponent, Max, is having a big moment. And, he had a big win, over me, and I didn't want to kind of take away from that by, taking the stage and my retirement, this and that. And then recently, man, like I said, I had some personal stuff going on, dude. My fucking best friend just died.
Oh, man.
And like just last week. And so I've been dealing with that.
Wow.
And
sorry.
Yeah, a lot of shit going on. And yeah.
So I did look at your Instagram, and you wrote something about, and you wrote brother. I wasn't sure if it was your actual brother or someone that you were referring to as your brother. So could you tell us who that was?
Yeah. It's my friend, Tim, who was my best friend from like 5th grade.
Wow.
And Timmy was a huge MMA fan. We used to watch UFC VHS tapes that we got from Blockbuster at his house, like every weekend. The dude followed me all over the world, watched me fight. He was like my brother.
Wow. And just unexpectedly passed away?
Yeah, man. He got COVID.
Oh no. Oh man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, man, it's a shitty thing. So, obviously, yeah, just had a lot going on in the last couple weeks, because he was in the hospital for a little while. But even before that, I don't know. As far as making a big post, I think maybe at some point I'll make a big post, but part of the retirement thing is also, I came on your show, dude. I have mad respect for you, and I've appreciated, working with you over the years. But I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of interviews because I don't really have to anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the retirement thing too, is just, stepping away from the spotlight.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this was the part that you loved about being a professional fighter, right? You preferred the actual punching people in the face part a little more, right?
I didn't mind it. Actually, I like doing interviews. I like, I do like this part of it to some extent. I'm a little bit over it. For a long time, I enjoyed it. I am a little bit over it though.
If I asked you, when were you your happiest in your career? I mean, you had so many great moments, WEC champ, interim UFC champ. I still think till this day, with all due respect to Robbie, I still think you should have gotten the nod at 195, one of the greatest fights, fight of the year, round of the year on the second day of what I think is the best year in UFC history, 2016. What an incredible fight. If anyone hasn't seen that fight, please do yourself a favor and watch it. But if you were to recall a moment, a time, a night, a fight where you feel like it all was at its apex, you were at your happiest, what comes to mind?
Man, that's really tough. I've loved every fucking second of it. Like the ups, the downs, all of it. Man, I don't. If I had to pick a specific one, dude, the last two fights that I won when we were out in Abu Dhabi, and, really just kind of living in this surreal atmosphere. And I had my coaches are all my really good friends. And we just had, got the opportunity to, go to this, crazy nice place and fight. That was a lot of fun, man. But I have 19, almost 20 years worth of memories. So it'd be really hard to pinpoint it.
Favorite fight?
Favorite fight? Shit, man. I maybe the Lawler fight. There's the fight itself. I really am proud of my performance. There's some stuff that I kick myself in the ass for about my performance, but overall, I mean, how could you be mad at a performance like that, even though I didn't get the nod?
Could I ask, just because it's such a legendary fight, just curious, what do you kick yourself about with regards to that fight?
I mean, I feel like maybe in the last round, I should have initiated a little bit more grappling, try to play it safe. In that last round, if you look in the very beginning, I came out, I was still trying to finish. I was out there and I was like, I felt like I was up on the scorecards, but I wanted to go out there and I wanted to finish. And so I started taking it to him, and then he landed some shots and got his momentum like Robbie does. But I think had I played it safe in that last round, that would have been my fight.
I don't know if you even pay attention to this stuff, if you care. I find it somewhat crazy that you walk away the week Nick Diaz comes back, and you'll always be somewhat tied to him for your great fight at UFC 143. Isn't that weird? I mean, that's kind of weird, right? The guys have fought in 6 years, and it just so happens now you walk away, he comes back. That's kind of strange, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit ironic, I guess.
And against the guy who we just talked about, Robbie Lawler, I don't know. I just thought that was like a weird stars aligning type of thing. I saw John Jones write something very nice about you. I saw a lot of your fellow peers. Was there someone who reached out, wrote something that really, touched you more so? I mean, there was a ton out there, but was there someone who texted you, called you? Was there a message that you got that really touched you perhaps a little more than the others?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, John, posting what he did and writing what he did that means a lot. I mean, John's, he's the fucking greatest champion of all time. For a couple of guys that I fought in the past that had good fights with. So it's been overwhelming. Like it's been hard to process, especially in the midst of everything I got going on.
Yeah. Did you, in retrospect, like, do you wish that it didn't come out now because of what you're dealing with? Like, do you wish you had a little more separate? No, it doesn't feel like too much.
Well, that's life. I mean, You can't really plan stuff. It even more like you spoke about kind of Nick Diaz coming back at this time that I'm retiring. My friend who I got into MMA with passing at this time that I'm retiring is also kind of is pretty poignant for me.
Right. Did he know that you had retired? Were you able to tell him before?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knew.
I mentioned something last week, and I don't know if you guys care about it, but I thought of it because Rampage said this to me a few weeks ago, that he feels like he's being forgotten about because of the way the sport is, because there's no Hall of Fame, for a bunch of reasons. And that bums me out. And I feel like that's a big problem in our sport, that the legends don't get the respect that they deserve, that you guys aren't celebrated, that you don't have pension, that you don't have a Hall of Fame where you can go show your kids what you did and all this stuff. Do you worry about that sort of thing, that in 10 years there's a fight every weekend and 10 fights, 12 fights on a card, and who remembers Frank Shamrock back in the day doing his thing, or Jens Pulver, and that was 20 years ago. Do you get worried that there's just so much going on that your legacy will not be held in the same regard as what a great baseball player or basketball player, and the way they're celebrated in their respective leagues? Does that cross your mind at all? Does that worry you?
At this point, no. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of myself for how I you know, how I walked in this sport and, you know, what I did. So I'm not really all that concerned about it. I mean, the pension thing's a whole different thing, of course. I mean, security it's a different conversation. But as far as my legacy, I mean, I did what I did, and I feel like it speaks for itself. And whether I'm remembered or not, I think I'll be. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really all that concerned about it. I mean, I did what I did, and I had zero idea when I got into this sport that it was going to go where it went, that I was going to be able to do the things that I did, have the experiences that I've had, you know, meet the people that I've met along the way. I mean, this whole thing is just, it's all like, it's been a dream. Like literally this was my dream as a kid, to do something with martial arts, and I got to do it. So I'm not all that worried about that, yeah.
Do you think at some point in our lifetime there will be something like a pension for guys like you?
I hope so. I mean, I think that there's a lot of improvements to be made, but that's going to be on us. That's going to be on fighters to make that happen. Nobody's going to just hand that out to us. Like, it has to be, we have to do something. I mean, they're not just going to hand shit out.
Yep.
Like we have to negotiate it, know our worth, and know that we are the ones that make the sport.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. No one's going to do that just out of the kindness of their heart. So like, if I would have talked to you on the first week of your career, hey, Carlos, young Carlos, you know, what are your goals here? Like, what do you actually want to get out of this? No chance it turns into anything like this. Like, did you even think this would be a career of some kind?
Well, when I started, it's like 2002.
Yeah.
UFC is in its dark ages, no TV deal. It's like struggling. So I don't think anybody had any idea that it would. I mean, I was a huge fan, so I mean, I was very. I was all in on this thing, but commercially, who knew that it was going to blow up like it did?
Any regrets?
Sure. Absolutely. I think, you know, when I was young, I didn't train like I think I should have. And maybe that contributed to like maybe I could have gone 25 years instead of 19. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm happy. Like I'm content. I'm content in my decision. It feels really nice, you know, by nature, this sport, you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. When you're ranked against other people and you step into the octagon and you fight them, I found myself, I don't know about other guys, but constantly comparing myself to other people, and comparing myself, like comparing what I'm doing, my training, every rep, every set, every sparring session. Not all the time, but a big portion of the time, like, you know, comparing myself to the guy who's holding the belt, comparing myself to the guy I'm going to fight. And that's exhausting. And I guess, you know, I grew up in this. I've been doing this since I was a kid, basically. And I didn't know any other way. So it feels really like, it's like a weight off my shoulders, really not having to compare myself to other people. And not that, you know, I guess I'm still competing. I'm doing Submission Underground on October 10th. I'm still going to be, you know, in this sport. I'm, you know, now it's going to be, you know, probably in a less dangerous facet of the sport, just doing jiu-jitsu. So I guess therein I'm still competitive and still comparing myself to other people, competing against other people, but it's much less intense.
Who are you competing against in October?
I am going against Ian Butler, who's out of he's a Bellator welterweight.
Yeah, great guy. Does a lot of great things for charity. I know about him. So could you say, you know how it is in the fight game, people retire and then they come back a year later. Say, do you think you are done for sure in your mind as far as MMA fighting is concerned?
Yep, I do. I think that I am. But again, like you said, people get the itch.
Yeah.
They run out of money.
Yeah.
That's a big part. We don't have a pension. Like I got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. I mean, I never say never. I don't plan on it.
Okay. Speaking of which, what do you plan on doing now that you're not fighting anymore?
Good question. I'm working on a couple of projects. I got a real estate project that I'm working on. There's a lot of opportunity here in Albuquerque. Actually, there's a lot of stuff going on with movies. Netflix just moved in here, so there's some cool stuff going on. Kind of side businesses, working alongside the that industry basically.
Okay. I saw there was a clip that was resurfaced last week. I don't know if you heard him say it when he retired, but GSP said at his retirement press conference that his proudest moment was surviving your head kick, that he was completely rocked and he was able to figure it out and go on to win that fight. And I think for anyone that maybe is a new fan that doesn't understand who you are or what your legacy is, I mean, like, that says it all. To me, GSP is the greatest ever. And for him to recall that moment as his greatest moment, his proudest moment, because it came from you and he was probably worried in the moment or rocked it's just an incredible testament to who you are. And I think the respect, like, no one says a bad thing about you, right? No one talks smack about you. No one diminishes your accomplishments. No one disrespects you. And so I know you know this, but to me, like, that's like the perfect summation of your career, like the no nonsense guy, the fighter's fighter, who everyone respected, and who the greatest of all time in his retirement ceremony / press conference recalls as his proudest moment, surviving your head kick. Pretty amazing. I think, I know you didn't win that fight. I'm sure you obviously wanted to, but I feel like that's Carlos Condit in a nutshell, to me at least.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, just having had the opportunity to compete against these great fighters, train alongside these great champions. I always have been, since day one. I've been passionate about this thing. I still am. And I think, as I was thinking, as all this, like the messages, tons of messages and all this stuff coming through about, my retirement, congratulating me, all this stuff, I've been sitting with that a little bit. And I think maybe what resonated with people was that, I approached this with passion. I stepped out there and I love to fight. I love what I do. And I hoped every single time to go out there and put that on display. It's just that that I love every second of this.
Two last quick things. Was there a guy that you didn't get to fight who you wish you had the opportunity to do so against?
Chris Lytle. I was supposed to fight Chris Lytle a number of times. I'd like to have got that one. I think we both got injured several times.
That's an old school name and would have been a great fight. And I know you said, like, you're not that guy necessarily. Is there anything you want to say to all the people, the fans who have reached out or wrote about you over the last few days?
Thank you so much. Like, it means the world to me. I can't get back to everybody who wrote me stuff. That would take, I don't know how long. It would take a long time because I got a lot of messages, and I appreciate it. And, I hope that, I hope me being involved in this sport inspired people, and which I think that it did from what I've seen. So, just thank you, man. And thank you, Ariel. I appreciate it, man. I've always, like I said, always had a lot of respect for you.
Thank you. One of my mom's favorite fighters. So when you're a favorite of my mom, I have to have a lot of love and respect for you. By the way, Natural Born Killer, who gave you that nickname?
My trainers from when I was like a long time ago, when I was a kid, my original trainers.
Wow. Okay. Well, what a career, man. Congratulations. I hope you're proud. your head held high. What an unbelievable run. Nothing to be ashamed of. You did it all. You fought them all. You beat the vast majority of them. And again, massive honor to have you on the show, but also to cover your career over the last 10 plus years. So enjoy retirement, Carlos. I look forward to seeing what you do next, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you, Ariel. Appreciate it, man.
There he is, the one and only. There'll never be another Carlos Condit, the natural born killer. Please do me this favor once this show is done. And even if you want to pause this show, if you are a new fan and don't know what this man is all about, what he represented, what he did for the sport, the fights that he gave us, the entertainment that he gave us, what he sacrificed, his body. I mean, you look up Carlos Condit on Getty, every third picture is him, rocking the crimson mask. Shout out to Jim Ross.